students. We have students who are Form 3 literature students from Boni, Consilii, Mabamba. I hope I'm mentioning that properly. Boni, Consilii, Mabamba Girls Secondary School in Kibondo District, Kigoma Region, Tanzania. Understand that is almost at the other end of the great country of Tanzania, which borders, is it Lake Tanganyika? And you cross it, maybe you go to Congo. Anyway, thank you for your questions and thank you for your teacher, Regional Bishoza, who has sent us a few of the questions.
I want to know. Everybody wants to know. I want to know. Everybody wants to know. I want to know. Everybody wants to know. Oh, I want to know. Everybody wants to know. Oh, who made the sun? Who made the moon? Who made...
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Right Academy. This is the first of the series of the programs that we'll be bringing in this channel, Right Academy, which will be mainly on writing and literature. And for this first episode, we are lucky to have a number of questions which are sent by some students from Kigoma, Tanzania. I will speak about them briefly as we go along. Maybe some of you or most of you know that, or let me introduce myself first. My name is Patrick Ngugi. I'm one of the authors in Kenya. And one of my books, The Interview, has been adopted in Tanzania as a literature set book. And it is for this program, for this reason that I'm doing this program, because there've been a lot of interest, particularly from students and teachers in Tanzania who are doing this set book in high school. And one of the teachers, who is a friend of mine, Reginald Bishoza, all the way from Kigoma, has sent me a few questions which were done by his students who would like to know more about the book, The Interview, and maybe a bit, one or two things about the author, who is myself. And here I am with this first episode of the Right Academy series, so that we can talk a bit about The Interview, the book that is a set book in Tanzania, and then we can shed some light on it. So welcome. As we go along, I would request you to subscribe to this channel so that we can get more episodes of this nature when they come. And also, if you are among the pupils or the students or teachers who are doing the book interview, you can comment on the comment section below your thoughts, your ideas, your questions, so that we can also do them and respond to some of those questions in the future. And you can do even better than that. If you are a student or teacher of literature in Dar es Salaam where you are doing this book, you can follow the idea given or exhibited by Bishoza. Get a few students of in your class, let them ask a few questions and then send them to me. My WhatsApp number will be placed at the description area on the comment section below. So you can get my WhatsApp number and send your questions, or the email address, which will also be indicated at the bottom. And so we have students. We have students who are Form 3 literature students from Boni, Consilii, Mabamba. I hope I'm mentioning that properly. Boni, Consilii, Mabamba Girls Secondary School in Kibondo District, Kigoma Region, Tanzania. Understand that is almost at the other end of the great country of Tanzania, which borders, is it Lake Tanganyika? And you cross it, maybe you go to Congo. Anyway, thank you for your questions and thank you for your teacher, Regional Bishoza, who has sent us a few of the questions. So we have questions from Odelia, another from Flaviana January. And then we have another question by Loveness Christian Bagengele. Another question by Marietta Tryphon, Grace Nathani, Hope Erasto Bulegera. Another question by Angela Sadala. And those are questions that came from these students, from 3 students, all the way from Kigoma region. And the school is Boni Consilii Mabamba Girls Secondary School in Kibondo District, Kigoma region, Tanzania. And so before we go deeper into the questions, I want to speak briefly about this novel, The Interview, which I did in the year 2000. The novel was published in the year 2000. And just a minute. So the novel was done in the year 2000, and it was published by the company that was then known as Macmillan Publishers. And it was actually a story that was entered into a competition, which was being held the whole of Africa. And the competition was called Right for Africa. So I entered this competition, I entered this novel in that competition, and 5 of the best manuscripts, the 5 of the best from the competition. I think there were about over 600 entries. So the interview was among the 5 best. And then there were mine, the interview, and then 4 others from other parts of the continent. And I think the winner came from Ivory Coast. So I did not win. I mean, the interview did not win, but it was among the 5 best. I'm saying this because one of the questions is about whether I won. Actually, the winning was the fact that it was the 5 among the best. And because of that, it was published, because the 5 books were published that were the best. And here I am. So it's about the book, as you know, because you've been doing literature, or those who have done it. But briefly, those who have not done the book or read the book, is about the main character is called Joe. And Joe is a Form 4 student who has finished his Form 4 examination, but he cannot get the certificate in order to go to college or high school or university, because he had not finished paying the fees for his secondary school, because his brother who was paying for him can no longer afford. They are poor, they are orphans, and so they have this challenge. So what happens, he's been called for an interview. That's where the heading comes from. But as he goes to the interview for a job, that's when he meets an accident, and he decides he'd rather be late to the interview, but help this old woman who had been knocked by a vehicle. And so he helps the woman and takes the woman to the hospital. And then there's a lot of things that happen. But at the end of it all, because of his good deed, what he did in the beginning, the story turns out that he gets even better than the job he missed the interview to go. But there's a lot of things in between, which, as you read, you will see. And the original title of the book, before it was changed, The Interview, was One Good Turn. There's an English proverb or saying that says, one good turn deserves another. If you do something good, you deserve to be done another good thing to yourself. So there you are. This boy did something good, and later on he turned to be the best. But then the story has a lot of things, as you know, as you read through. And so there you are. After a brief introduction, I'll talk about the book. Let us go to the questions by these students from Boni Consilii Mabamba Secondary School in Kibondo District, Kigoma region. And thanks again, Teacher Regional Bisoza, for enabling the students to have their questions answered. So the first question is from Odilia, and she asks, she asked me, the author, why did you decide to write this novel and how has it benefited you and the people around you? That is the first question. The second question is, which other writer do you like reading his literary works? So the question is, why did you decide to write this novel and how has it benefited you and the people around you? Let's talk about benefiting first. It has benefited because, for example, you, Odelia, you are reading the novel. You are learning a lot about writing, literature, and about how the world around you exists. How if you do one good thing to somebody, something good will also happen to you. Generally, writers do their books or their novels not only to entertain or educate, but also to give an example, to give something about themselves and what they have learned in the real life situation. Yeah. But one major reason why I decided to write this novel is because I'm a writer. And I had written a few other stories before that. And a writer is always a writer. There's always an idea in your mind. You feel like you need to write. Just like a musician hears the song in his mind before he even puts it down. An artist sees the picture in his mind before he paints it. A writer sees the story in his mind before it's written. So I had seen this story and he kept on nagging me. It wants to come out, so it's got to be written. And when I got a chance to enter this competition, I decided to write this. And that's the reason I wrote it, because I feel pulled to write it. And also I feel I need to serve society by giving them something interesting to read. So I hope, Odelia, I have answered your question. So the other question by Odelia is, which other writer do you like reading his literary works? In Kenya, where I come from, and this book is based, we have a lot of other writers whom I admired. And one of them is my namesake. We are not related, but he's my namesake, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. There is also another writer. I really liked his stories, Sam Kahiga. And a few others like Mange Roheni. You might not know them, but those people you might know more because you might have read about them. If we look at the European writers, we have people like Charles Dickens, who wrote Oliver Twist, Great Expectations, and other books. So there are many, and sometimes it's difficult to pick particular one. But I think my interests come from a combination of many other, writers, not just one. But if I may pick one, then we have Charles Dickens. Also used to love James Hadley Chase nowadays. I don't know whether people still read thrillers by James Hadley Chase, but there are so many others. So I hope your questions have been answered, Delia. So Flaviana January says, and I think our question is more or less like the previous one. Why did you decide to write the novel, The Interview? I think I've given that. But I think you may have, Flaviana and Odelia, you've reminded me something else. Once I was going where I used to stay, if you remember how the novel starts, where Joe is going for the interview and it's early in the morning, there are not enough vehicles and people are fighting to get into the matatu. In Tanzania, you call them daladala, the vehicles, the bus. People are fighting because there are not many enough of them and people are many. They are fighting to get inside the matatu. Some are even falling down from the matatu because they want to get in. So one day I was watching something happen. And in my mind, I imagined somebody being knocked by that vehicle. And the person observing who can help was also in a hurry to go to an interview like that one. And then this person was wondering, should I continue to go to the interview? Or can I be late for the interview so long as I help the injured person? And so that troubled me a bit. And I thought the best thing is to help the injured person. Even if you are late for the accident, for the job, maybe the people you're going for the job will understand. That's how I got the story. And the story was like, if you stop doing yourself something good in order to help another person, how are you going to be compensated? And that's how the story comes. But then as you write the story, you just get one idea. And as you continue, other ideas keep on coming in and you add them until the novel is complete. So Viana, the other question by Flaviana January is this novel, the interview, having any relationship with your real life experience or just relating to your society? As I said earlier, you cannot, no man is an island, first of all. You always live in a society. And whatever you see is what you experience, and that's what you also share. So not everything in the interview is about my life, but there may be a few points here and there where I put my own small experience, my small, feelings, and not really talking about myself, but something I almost felt. So the novel is not about me, but I have a few things about myself that are in the novel. I hope Flaviana nimekujibu vizuri. So we go to Loveness Pasiana Magengele. These names are Tanzanian names, so if I don't mention them properly, please forgive me. Loveness Pasian Magengele. Pasian, I don't know whether you are Maasai, but it sounds like a Maasai name. But let's continue. Loveness, you're asking, what did you think to the point of writing such a fantastic and relevant novel? Thank you very much for describing it fantastic. By the way, the interview is one of my best novels. I have 9 others, which you can know about later. But I put all my passion, all my imagination and things in this because I knew I was entering into a competition. So maybe that's what inspired me to put all the juicy things together. But as you start writing, some of you, maybe you'll be writers, you realize if you have the passion, all these things come out as you continue writing. And sometimes they are there, you feel so excited when you're writing. But there are other times when you feel low, you don't feel like writing. We call it writer's block. And no matter how hard you try to write Ngugi, and then you let it go, and then later on it comes and you start writing again and it flows nicely. So, Loveness, you're also asking, why didn't you think about anything else? That's a difficult question, but we're always thinking about a lot of things. So I think I thought about other things, but maybe you're asking, why did I write about another subject? But I did. Later on, I wrote about other things. But why didn't you think about something else, anything else? And because this is the idea I had at that time. I hope I've answered you properly. And then the other question you're asking is, why do you like to be a journalist? Maybe you mean, why was I attracted to be a journalist? I can tell you that. I think you guys are in Form 3 now. I decided I want to be a journalist in Form 2, when I was in Form 2, because before that I thought I would be a lawyer. But one day I was watching television, I kept on seeing newsmen, journalists, meeting big personalities, meeting the presidents, meeting musicians, and meeting celebs, as you say. Journalists were always there first to meet these people. And I thought that's what I want to be. And I became a journalist. And that combined with my interest in writing, I think it made a very good combination. Because even now, I'm no longer a journalist, active journalist, but I still write. So it's quite a combination. So I think I've answered your question. Loveness. So we go to Mariela Trifon. Mariela Trifon asks, Why did you use the barbaric language? Barbaric. Barbarism, code mixing, switching, too much, especially in your local language. There are some things when you are writing, you may not notice, but the reader will notice, and then they point out at you, and then you realize maybe it was like that. But if that comes out, barbaric language, as you say it, and my local language, I think when a writer is putting down whatever he's putting down, he wants to express himself fully. And as you can see, even in other writers, take people like Chinua Achebe or any other African writers, or even any other language, even a European language, French or whatever. If you are writing in English, there are some places they write in italics, which they use their own language in order to give the punch, give the heavier meaning, or stress the emotion, the feeling. Because not one language like English, for example, if I witness something in my village happening deep, or even you witness something in your village happening there, the people who are reading the story you'll be writing, if they are from that village, they will understand it more if you wrote in their language. And if you are forced to write that thing in English, in some areas you'll have to put your own language for them to really get the meaning. Because when you translate one word, you can only translate words, but you cannot translate the meaning, the feeling. You cannot translate it. And sometimes that feeling is lost when you are translating one language to the other. That's why we feel sometimes you use your own language in order to give the feeling, the emotion that was actually being expressed. I hope you get it, Marietta. And again, when you use these other words, we put in italics and maybe sometimes in brackets for those who don't understand the language to know what is being said. I hope you got me there. And one of the things I've been asked, in fact, before that your teacher was asking me another time, the spelling of grandmother, this grandmother, Shosho. We call it Shosho. It's not the spelling really, the pronunciation, because it's a Kikuyu word. Kikuyu, I come from Kikuyu tribe in Kenya. Shosho, we write it as C-U-C-U. But when you read it there, it sounds like cuckoo or something like that. But it's actually Shosho, and it means grandmother. So a person who knows what Shosho is, reading it Shosho, feels more at home than reading grandmother. It is giving the same meaning, but Shosho feels a bit warm, about closer to that old lady. I hope you get me now. Otherwise, throughout the story, this Shosho, I would have called her grandmother, but it would not have that feel of, motherly or grandmotherly love. But there you are. I think I've answered you. Marietta, I hope you are satisfied. So we go to Grace Nathani. And I think I was trying to answer this question earlier on. She asks, did you win the competition Children Literature Award 2002 as information appearing on the novel Blab? Actually, the competition was for children, young adults, and adults. The interview was for young adults, and as I said, it was among the 5 best on the continent of Africa. And so out of the 5, they were to choose a winner, and the winner came from Ivory Coast. So the only way I can say I won is because I managed to get it published. And because of that, you managed to have it in your school so that you can study it. So in a way, it was also a win, although it was not the first prize. So Grace also asks, have you only written novel, or you have written other genre like poetry? As I said earlier, I have written like many manuscripts in English and Kiswahili, but 9 have been published into novels. The interview was the second of my books. So I've also written poetry, many poetry, and I will, maybe through your teacher, if you're interested, I can send you some which you can read in class. So I do poetry also, but my first love, what I started doing first was fiction or novels. So Grace Nathany also asks, which things made you engage in writing literary works? Which thing made you engage in writing literary works? I think one can say is interest and talent and passion. Yeah, I have the passion for writing and the interest. Those are the things you can say that made me to that direction. Then we have Hope Erasto Mulengera. And she asks, what did you benefit from being an author of this book, the interview? And what can you emphasize us to do? The benefits an author gets from any writing he does is first the satisfaction of the completion of his own creation, something they created themselves and is given to the world and the publisher publishes it. That is one satisfaction. The second satisfaction is when somebody goes to the bookshop and asks for the book and actually buys it and reads it. And then finally, when a book like this is taken by a whole country to be read, is also a kind of benefits, because you realize that you can write and you do a good job and everybody's buying it. So satisfactions are many, not only monetary, because each of the book is sold, the author earns something. The monetary part is good, but also the satisfaction that people are enjoying your work out there. And that would be the best satisfaction one can talk about. I hope I've answered your question. Hope. Yes, hope. I hope I have answered your question to your satisfaction. So we go, I think, to the last person. That is Angela Sadala. Angela Sadala asks, why did you decide to write this novel, leaving the matters of financial purposes and decide to educate African society? And I think I've just answered that. The satisfaction to feel your passion, to use your talents, and just to express yourself. That is the most important thing. And as you're saying, leaving the matter of financial purposes and decide to educate. With the passion, you have it, you feel it, you want to express it. Because if you don't express your talents and your passion, it's go to waste, and the world, the society doesn't learn anything. You don't educate, you don't give anything. And so you sleep on your talents, which of course is not good. So the other question you ask is, why do you like to live in African continent? I like to live in African continent. It's because it's my motherland. I don't have any other motherland. It's my home and I love it. That's what, despite whatever challenges we have, it's home. And I love it. Even those who go out and live in the foreign countries, they still wish to come home. They still remember home. So I love it. Another question by Sadala, Angela Sadala, is, may you please send us another books written by you? Yes, I will organize with your teacher, Bishoza, regionals, to mention 1 or 2 books, which one or the other, maybe with your school establishment, can be able to reach you. And right now I can think of one book called The Last Will, another one, and The Last Will. Another one is Finders Keepers. I think you'd really love that. I can talk about them later in another series. So thank you. We can arrange with your teacher so that you can be able to get the books. And God willing, I may be visiting that part of the country. Next year, maybe I can be able to, next year, 2024, maybe I can carry some of the books with me and present to your teacher, or even if your school invites me, I may be able to come to your school, but then we shall see as the year progresses. So Angela, you're also asking, why do you prefer living, writing and reading? What do you prefer, living, writing and readings of literary works? Your question is not very clear. If I read it again, what do you prefer, living, writing and reading of literary works? I guess some of these questions these questions have been answered before, but I do prefer local writers. I like various writers. I read foreign writers, Kenyan writers, and writers from other countries of Africa. Which writer do you prefer reading? I had mentioned that earlier on. It includes people like Charles Dickens, who wrote Oliver Twist, The Great Expectations, and Home. I like Ngugi, who have done a few other books, and many other writers who are coming up. So thank you very much for your questions, Angela, Hope, Grace, Marietta, Ravnes, Flavian January, and Odilia. Thank you very much for your questions. If you may need more clarification, we can organize so that you can send maybe another question, or even if you're able to watch this video, you can add the question on the comments below. And this is not just for these students from Boni, Consilii, Mabamba Girls Secondary School in Kibondo District, Kigoma region, but any other teacher, student from any other part of the country who sees this video, you can comment below your questions or even send them to the address that is given in the comment section so that you can have your own question answered, maybe in another video. You may also ask me to elaborate some areas of the novel, which I can still do it. And I request you to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, because in the future, I'll be talking about more writing and about literature and other things that are concerned with writing, even the small course writing. So thank you very much. I end now thanking Mwalimu Reginald Bisoza for organizing these questions from the students. And I ask any other teacher in Tanzania, if you have a question that I can answer, particularly on the book, The Interview, which I wrote in the year 2000, I can also do it for you and also share. So thank you very much, and God bless.